Welcome back to Dawn's Tailor Made Applique. Now, as the note says, there are 3 different ways to applique items onto your fabric. Now, this one you can see is raised slightly. Okay, so it's sewn around. I will show you how, and then you have this bit, so that's a different version. It can sit on the top of your fabric. This is where you sew around it. Now it does seem to be slightly raised, but that's just the interfacing in it. Okay, and then this one is another raised version. Okay, now the first one, I'm not having a demo on it today, but I will show you. So now different people will have different ideas, and they will tell you that something is called something, and you know, everybody has their own opinion. Now this is free motion embroidered applique. Okay, so appliquéing, I think, is where you're attaching one piece of fabric on top of another. So what this is, these are pieces that are cut out and then you free motion around them. So it's not an orderly thing. You draw. Now free motion embroidery is where you just do the lines. Okay, so you draw with the lines, you write with the lines. That's free motion. But free motion applique is where you put the item on the top and then you free motion over the top. Now we don't have a demo of that today. There are lots of demos where you can see that version. So the first one I'm going to do is the inside out version. Okay, so this is my heart. Now this is on the reverse. Okay, so this is my fabric. Okay, this is the right side, this is the wrong side. So what you do with your piece of interfacing, so you take your piece of fabric, okay, and you lay it down, and you have your right sides up. You lay your interfacing on the top, okay, and then you sew all the way around. Now I used quite a small stitch because you are going to be pulling on this, and you want to make sure that it doesn't come undone. So that's what I've done here. So that's why it's you can see it's a different colour, because it had been covered by the interfacing. Okay, so there is the non-interfaced, and then what I did is I put the interfacing down. Now this is just how I do it. Okay, I will say that all these demos, they are just how I do it. There may be other ways, but this is how I do it. So this is the fusible interfacing. Okay, this is a medium weight. So this is the rough side. This is the bit where you would be able to glue it. Okay, and what you do is you put that on the top, and then you sew around. So you've then got the wrong sides this way and the wrong sides that way. Okay, so that's what I'm showing you here. So this is the wrong side. This is the bumpy glue side. Okay, so what you do is you put a little snip in there. Okay, a little snip. Now this is quite tricky, but persevere, because it is worth it. I mean, as I said, there are easier ways to do it. This is a trickier way. And what you do is you pull that through the gap, just as you would turning something else inside out. Okay, and you just pull it all the way through. Now I chose a heart shape. I could have cheated and chosen a leaf that would be easier, but I chose a heart shape because it is quite a tricky thing to do. And now what you need is some sort of pokey tool. Now you pull it out as much as you can. There we go. And then take your pokey tool, not something sharp because it will go straight through. Okay, so, and then all you do is just push. Now don't push the interfacing side, don't push the fabric side, push on your seam. Okay, now that's why I said I used quite a short stitch, because you don't want to push through those stitches. Okay, so making sure all of my heart is out. Okay, just going all the way around. And then, as we've said before, taking a strong needle, just pull out the bits. If they're not sticking out properly, just pull them out. Okay, so you get your smooth applique. Now, you do not iron. Now, with lots of things, we don't iron some things in sewing. Okay, so you don't iron this, you press it. And pressing is no steam. Okay, and you're pressing. Okay, self-explanatory really. Not too much, because you don't want to flatten it, because you want this to be, it's more of you know, a raised version of applique. So there is, where's my other one? So that is the one. Now, there are two ways of attaching these once you've done them. So you now have that hole on this side, but that's okay. So what I did with this one is I went round it with the sewing machine. Okay, now you could go around it with this stitch if you wanted to. You can use the machine, or you can use a hand sewing version. Now, when I show you this one, you would attach it with the same way. Okay, so this one is the same as that one. Okay. So as you can see, it really is a raised effect. It's a really, really nice way of sewing. Now, I'm not going to show you how I machine sew. You can see that I just went around the edge, just keeping it as close to the edge as I could. And that's a really nice way of attaching your applique. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave the top open. I know I've seen people where they leave the top open and then that becomes a little pouch. You can put pens or something in there, if it was a bigger heart, obviously. So now I'm going to show you the, this is what I would call the traditional applique, but this was actually around, these others were actually around much sooner than these, because obviously these are by hand, and this one is by using your machine. So for this one, what I did is I put the fabric wrong side down. I put my, the sticky side of my interfacing down, and then ironed over that, and then cut around it, cut out my shape. Okay, now hang on, I've drawn around that one because that's for this one, don't want to get these confused. So this one, I'm just going to lay it onto my piece. Now, if you want to, you can attach this with some glue, or you can attach it with the pin. It's up to you, just to keep it still. And you could still hand sew this one if you wanted to. Again, it is entirely up to you. But what you do need to do is, now I keep my little patches of interfacing because you never know when you're going to need them. So this is going to be the piece of fabric I am going to sew these onto. Now I just need a little bit. So this is sort of a medium weight cotton. Okay, and I'll put that down there. What you need to do is apply your interfacing. Okay, so let's pop that over here. So I will iron this smooth. Now I'm going to put the steam back on for this because I do want to iron this. So ironing, as I said, is when you go backwards and forwards as you would iron your clothes. And pressing, quite often you don't have the steam on, depending on what you are pressing. So again, this isn't a perfect piece. This is just where you know, I've had some pieces where I haven't had to cut small pieces. So that is what I am attaching here. I'm just making a bit of a patchwork. Now, some people would say not to do this because it would make it uneven at the front. I haven't had any where it's become uneven, so I'm just going to go ahead because this is, you know, this is what I would be doing if I was making a project myself. So there we go. I've covered all of those pieces, and as I said, turn your iron down a little bit, no steam on, and you press. Now they say leave for 10 seconds. It's up to you. See what works for you. And that is now adhered, is attached. Now you see I have got a few bits going over the top. Now it's up to you. It's your ironing board, it's your ironing mat, it's your pressing mat. I haven't had any that are stuck and hasn't come back up again. But I'm not going to tell you to do it and then you go and do it and it be a bit hot. It's going to be wrong. So all I do is I just lift it up and you can see it just comes off. Okay, so I'm now going to trim off those. Now these are actually too small, so these will go into my thread, seam thread catcher there. So I've interfaced on the back. Now the reason you interface on the back of this as well as interfacing on your applique bit is because you need some rigidity. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are making a project. You can get tearaway stabilizer, so this is going to stay quite firm. Even you can wash it, but it will still have those backings on it. So if you're doing this on clothing, just remember that, because you may want to use a tearaway stabilizer, okay, and not this one, which will, this one won't disappear. Now on my machine I have I'm calling it an applique stitch, okay? So I'm just going to go all the way around. Now I'm going to do a grey. Actually I won't, I will change it to black so you can see. Now you wouldn't normally use a black unless you wanted it as a feature. It's up to you, but I'm just going to show you how to. Now use a scrap piece as well, because what you need to do is practice your length. So you may want the sides of your stitches longer on, I mean this is a blanket stitch, and you may want the depth where it's going out, you may want it shorter. So just experiment and see what you prefer. I'll just get a piece of scrap and I need my black thread. So I'll bring the machine back in. Now I know you can't see the top of the machine, but I am nipping it at the top and I am pulling my thread through. Okay, I have a spare needle here and I am going to, I don't want to waste that thread. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 needles already full. This is going to be my 6th one. Now when you buy a pack of needles, I'm sure you get, you know, something like 30. So those are going to stay on there now, and then if I need a thread, I'm going to start embroidering, so I am going to be using lots more threads. So that thread is now to hand if I need it. Okay, and then I'm going to put my black in the top. Now I'm sure most machines do thread the same way. If you are having trouble, if you are a beginner, please comment. I will go back and look at all the comments after. If you need any help at all with your machine, you know, we can do a one-to-one class where I can show you how to load your machine, how to do you know, the simplest things on your machine. So if you are struggling, then please put a note in the comments or go to Dawn's Tailor Made, send us a private message and we will do our best to help you. Okay. Now apologies, I cannot see if anybody is commenting. I cannot actually see. So that's one of the things we may have to adjust. Now I'm going to go to mine. Now mine is stitch 28 on my machine. Now if you want to, you can do a zigzag stitch and go all the way around. You would need to make your zigzags, again, practice on some paper. Let's do that now actually. I'll go on to the zigzag stitch and I'm going to make it, the width I'm going to do down to 2.0 and the length I'm going to do as a 3.0. Now I'm just going to, now one of the things that I'm able to do is I can turn and you guys can now see how I am sewing. Okay, I will put my glasses back on. So now that is too long, so I need to go and make it, so the length has to be shorter, so I'm going to do, my length is now 0.5 and my width is 2.0. So just trial and error. I think it needs to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to do a 0.8. Now I will just show you these. So it is up to you. So there is a zigzag stitch, quite a wide one there. There's a smaller one and another one that's got more distance in it. So it's really up to you which version you want. I mean, if you pop that around the outside, you decide what you would like to do. It really is up to you what effect that you would like. So, but I really like using the applique stitch. Okay, so I'm going to set that one up. So off and on again, it's the easiest way with my machine. So this is my, now I will show you just out of the box what it is. So that is what it's looking like before I alter it. Okay, and as you can see, this is bunching up because there isn't any applique interfacing under here, so it is actually bunching up, which I do not want. So I'm glad that I have put interfacing on the other piece. So I am now going to try a smaller width and a longer. So we are on, I'll just go back, so it's a 2.0 width and a 2.5 length, okay? Let's see what that does. But you find the stitch on your machine and, you know, change it how you want. So the one that I did is the original, it's just the long one, but I'm going to try it with a smaller, shorter one. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my heart. Remember, this has got interfacing on the back of this fabric and interfacing on the back of here. Now I'm going to start about halfway down one side of my heart. Okay, and what you do is you line up with your needle, not your foot. So you'll be able to see that my foot is out here, and you can see that my heart is on the inside. So where my needle's going down, you need to position it just right, and then that needle is now on the outside of my heart. Okay, and then what will happen, the first stitch, it will go forwards and backwards, and then it will go across to do the blanket stitch. Okay, and then as you turn, you just keep making sure that your needle is in line with this heart. Okay, now you can go quite fast once you've got the hang of it, and all you do is just keep turning your fabric round, and the more practice you get. Now I have gone around letters using this method, and you just practice that. I now know where that stopped because I've done it so many times. Again, I'm using my start-stop foot. I'm not using my foot pedal. So if you're using your foot pedal, it might be slightly different for you. But I know where to start and stop because I have done it so many times. So now I know that that stitch is completely finished, and when it starts again, it will do the forwards, backwards, and then across. Okay, so I'm going to turn it to the bottom. Oh, I missed it on that turn. So it is actually going to stick over the back. But the more you practice this, I haven't done it for quite a long time, but the more you practice this, the more skilled you will become, and you will be able to make really pretty appliques. Now the reason I like this is because it can become quite ununiform. Apologies, that is the bin men. I did try and avoid them coming, filming while they were on. So there you can see the two different, let me lay them both together. There are the two different sizes, the two different versions, okay? Now if you were using a contrasting, so maybe a pink on there or a white, then you'd have a different effect again, okay? So that is the machine applique. Now as I've said, you can, so this is called raw edge applique because obviously the edge is raw. Now this one, it hasn't got a raw edge because we did put that on the inside, okay? So that's that version. So as I said, I did a stitch in a grey going all the way around. So now I'm going to show you the hand sewing version. So what I did, fabric right sides down. Again, this is the bumpy side of my interfacing. Iron it on, okay, and then you have a piece of fabric with the interfacing on the back, okay. And then what I did is I drew that line all the way around. So if you want your applique to be this size, then you need to make sure that you're doing it slightly longer. Now this is my seam gauge. So I would do this in inches. So I have a seam of, where are we? 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I have drawn a pencil line. Okay, and then what happens is, as you sew, you fold that back in on itself. Okay, so this is a little bit of hand sewing. Okay, so I have pinned those bits in. Right, hang on, I've just got a question there. We're going to have to figure this out because I can't see. Is that all your bottles from wetting the baby's head? It might be actually, Teresa, I don't know. When I was filming before, it was the other recycling, it was just the rubbish, but now, yes, it is the actual recycling now, it's not just the bin, so yes. And we haven't had a collection for a week and a half, so that's everybody's glasses going in. But yes, we did wet the baby's head. So there is your fabric on the top, okay. So this would be the same. You would place that on here, okay, and then you are bending that piece back. I'm just showing you that, but I have already started on this one. Now this is what I'm hoping that we're going to be doing more of, which is mindful sewing, okay. So things that you can do with your hands that during these strange times, shall we say, you can be focusing on your stitching, which you don't always do with your sewing machine. Some of you might do, but I find when I'm sewing with my machine, I'm sewing fast, and I've got a quick make, even when I'm quilting, which is a longer make, but I've got a quick thing that I want to finish. Whereas when you're using your hand sewing, it sort of focuses your mind better. So the way that you do this is you use a very small thin needle, okay, and just a normal piece of cotton. Now I'm going to pop a little knot in the end of there, only a tiny one, and then I can come through the back if I want to. Okay, so just find somewhere just to come through. There we go. So it's underneath your shape. Okay, and then what you're doing is you are folding that line. So you remember we drew the pencil line around here. Okay, you're folding that in. Now this is not the easiest place to show you because I have got the point of the heart down the bottom there. Okay, so you pick up a tiny piece of your backing fabric. Okay, make sure that stays folded. A tiny piece of your backing fabric just underneath the heart, and then just a few pieces of your shape, okay, and then pulling that through, and then what it does, it just secures that little bit. Okay, now I can see that Teresa has asked how I did that knot. Now I will show you once I've done a little bit of sewing, Teresa. Okay, so picking up a little piece of your inside, your underneath fabric, a tiny piece of your applique. Now this is called needle turn applique. Okay, and then you're tucking under again, and you just go all the way along. Now I had a sewing chat last night via Zoom, and I did the first pieces, and you know, we were all talking and I was listening, but I wasn't really focusing on what everyone was saying because I was using the machine. Now you would think that this would need more concentration, but I was able to listen to everyone much easier when I was hand sewing. So I think that's how, when people do this and then they watch TV as well. So you're just making the smallest of stitches, okay? And then you're pulling it close, and then what happens is you'll end up adhering this all the way along. Now, if that was on a quilt, which is what we will be making, okay, I think it's a really effective way of attaching your applique, and it is a way of doing some sewing that doesn't involve your machine, so you don't have to use your machine at all on that one. Now on this one you did, because you made your piece, okay, and then we turned it inside out, if you remember, and then you were attaching it. I'm not sure which one I prefer. I think I like the look of all of them, but I definitely do like this 3D version, okay, of these two. I definitely like those looks, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing introducing you all to some quilting. We're going to do some simple blocks, and then we are going to be sewing some applique on the top, because I think it's really, really effective, really lovely. So I hope that has helped everyone. Just going to show now. Teresa just asked me how I did that knot. Now I know there are lots of different ways that people do it. I've seen people take their needle, wrap that around the needle, and then pull that down. That doesn't work for me. I don't know why. So what I do is I take a little piece of my thread, I go around my finger, so there's a knot there, and then I just sort of screw it up, rolling it, and then that makes a knot. I mean, that is quite a big knot. So I think the other version, we will try it and you watch, it will work this time. So what you do is you take your thread, you hold it onto your needle like that, you wrap it around a couple of times, and then you pull it down your thread. Yeah, so it doesn't work for me. If anybody else knows how to do that, I'll try again. I've watched quite a few people do this. I don't know what it is I'm doing wrong. Oh, there you go. It did work that time. But both times you've got quite a big knot. Now, if you were doing something like this and you only wanted a little knot, then obviously you could just tie one knot and then do another knot on the top of that. So, you know, there are many different ways with hand sewing. Now, the idea is we're going to be doing some more hand sewing. Now, I'm just going to try and find where that knot is. So yeah, there you go. There's, by comparison, I don't know if you can see that. I'll put it against some dark fabric. By comparison, that's a smaller knot and then a bigger knot. There are, as I said, lots of different versions. So I do have my embroidery hoop ready. I do have my embroidery threads ready. The idea is we're going to be doing some hand sewing, some embroidery sewing. Now they might just be videos and not lives, because I think if you had to sit and watch all of them, I think you might get a little bit bored. But we definitely are going to be doing some hand sewing and some more mindful crafts. Now, some of you may have seen my post this morning, so they are asking, I'm just going to try and tilt this up. Apologies everyone. There we go, I need to put my glasses on. I have to come around and do it. We will figure this out, I promise. We have got a proper stand coming today, so we can figure that out. So people are asking for scrubs, and I want to do my bit. I did a lot of scrub sewing, and if without the scrub sewing I wouldn't be here. So I am going to be sewing some scrubs, and I will be doing them, but obviously I'm not going to be showing you how to make. There are many videos on scrubs, but we will be doing the sleeve insertion. We will be doing different pockets. We can sew the trousers, we can do the waistbands, we can do hems, so we can be incorporating different sewing techniques for beginners, but we will be making scrubs as we do them. And also we're doing drawstring bags, which is, there are many different ways of doing them, some quicker ways, some more trickier ways. So on Saturday I did promise you a piping video. That will be coming if my piping cord comes. I did do some piping on a cushion, and I can't show it you because it was a gift for somebody. and I used some string. I'll just show you that. So I thought by buying a piece of string that was as thick as my cord, so this was 3mm, that it would work, but this is actually flat, whereas cording stays round. I mean, this was labelled as round, but it doesn't. Some parts of it are flatter than others, so I do need my cording to come so that I can do a piping video, okay, that has the cord inside. If that doesn't come on Saturday, then we will be looking at just doing a different binding method. So just going around one of our cushions with a different binding method. And then on Monday, we will be looking at sewing some parts of a scrubs for people. So happy sewing. I hope you enjoyed the first video. We have got a few things we need to iron out. But with the stand that's coming, I do have a long arm that I can go up and down, so we'll be able to tilt it much easier. I'm not able to see your comments unless I've got my glasses on, and then I can't see when I'm sewing, so we'll have to look at that as well. But hopefully I'll be able to have the camera coming closer, and then I will be able to see your comments too. So thank you ever so much for everyone for joining us. I've had a lovely morning with you all. I hope you enjoyed the tour video. I hope you enjoyed the applique video, and we will see you on Saturday at 10 AM. Happy sewing. Bye.